The history of love is not a linear progression, but rather a complex cultural, social, and philosophical formation. The very term love is historically unstable. Its meaning has shifted depending on time, place, discourse, and power structures. In ancient societies, love was often not a private feeling, but was functionally embedded in social orders. Among the Greeks, for instance, distinctions were made between eros, desiring, often physically connoted love, philia, affectionate friendship, agape, selfless, often divinely ethical love, and storge, familial affection. These distinctions were not merely semantic, but reflected different social functions. In the Roman context, love became increasingly intertwined with political and social power relations. Marriage primarily served economic and dynastic purposes, while extraordinary emotional bonds often took place outside official institutions. In the Middle Ages, love was interpreted theologically. Christian agape stood at the center as an expression of divine grace and redemption. At the same time, the courtly concept of mini emerged, an idealized, often unfulfilled form of passionate devotion, aimed not at fulfillment, but at spiritual purification. The modern era, shaped by the Enlightenment and the rise of the bourgeois subject, brought an individualization of the love relationship. Love became an expression of inner autonomy and authenticity. Romantic love, as the highest expression of the self, reached its peak in literature, music, and philosophy. Yet even this form of love was culturally encoded and regulated by normative gender roles. In modernity, love became increasingly psychologized and economized. Psychoanalysis, sociology, and media culture located love between structures of need, projection, and social construction. In a late modern world marked by mobility, uncertainty, and fragmentation, love remains a contradictory figure. On one hand, a deep need for attachment. On the other, a projection surface for ideals, fears, and longings. Love is thus neither pure coincidence nor a natural constant, but a multi-layered construct shaped by social dynamics and inner psychological tensions. From a systems theoretical perspective, love can be understood as a dynamic communication pattern that fulfills stabilizing functions within social units. It is neither fully rationalizable nor entirely withdrawable. Rather, it oscillates between contingency and meaning-making, between biology and culture, between vulnerability and structure. An intercultural perspective further reveals significant differences in the concept of love. While Western societies often view love as an expression of individual freedom and self-realization, many non-Western cultures emphasize collective and familial bonds. Here, love is not primarily seen as an emotional exception, but as a social promise that creates obligations and stability. This difference points to the fact that love cannot be thought of as universally uniform. It is deeply shaped by cultural, economic, and political contexts. Digital media have also transformed how love is experienced, communicated, and imagined. Platforms like dating apps, social networks, and algorithmic matchmaking have created new modes of encounter, but also new uncertainties. Love is increasingly staged and often functionalized as part of identity marketing, social capital, or consumer dynamics. These developments challenge classical concepts such as intimacy, reliability, and durability, and make the question of love's future in the 21st century all the more urgent. Neurobiological research provides important insights into the bodily and chemical foundations of love. Studies show that falling in love and maintaining stable relationships involve complex interactions between neurotransmitters and hormones. Dopamine plays a central role in the brain's reward system and is linked to euphoria and motivation, especially in the early phase of infatuation. Oxytocin, often referred to as the bonding hormone, is released through touch and intimacy and promotes trust and social closeness. Vasopressin also appears to play a role in long-term partnerships. Interestingly, serotonin levels often drop during the early stages of love, comparable to obsessive-compulsive states, which may explain the intense preoccupation with the beloved. These neurobiological mechanisms demonstrate that love is also rooted in the body and manifests in neural patterns. Yet even here, biology does not tell the whole story. How these processes are interpreted socially and culturally remains an open field, between reductionism and humanistic complexity. A look into the future of love raises further questions. What role will artificial intelligence play in romantic relationships? As a mediator, a relationship subject, a projection surface? How are norms of intimacy changing in a world of constant connectivity, ecological crises, and growing individualization? It is likely that love will increasingly be thought of in hybrid terms, as an interaction between human beings, technology, biology, and cultural codes. Emerging relationship models, such as polyamory or post monogamy, show that classical patterns are being re examined. Yet the longing for connection, resonance, and closeness remains central, whether in analog or digital form. A final comparison between Western and Eastern conceptions of love highlights structural differences. While the West tends to idealize the romantic dyad rooted in emotional authenticity, Confucian influenced East Asian philosophies emphasize harmonious obligations, social embeddedness, and emotional restraint. In Indian traditions, a rich spectrum of love is recognized, from sensual ecstasy, kama, to spiritual devotion, bhakti. These concepts show that love is not only individually felt, but also shaped and molded by civilizational frameworks. The global future of love will likely not consist of a universal form, but rather of a multitude of overlapping, conflicting, and creative expressions.